Hello, my awesome friends. It's your buddy Phil here. Welcome to our discussion today about quality management. Now, remember, those of you getting ready for the test, if you need a tool up, go on down to hpmexam.com. This video is brought to you on behalf of our PMP exam immersion class. Now, getting immersed into quality management, you got to understand that there's a reason why we do things the way we do in Agile. It's really all about risk coping mechanisms, quality coping mechanisms. And what is quality? It's fitness for use. It's conformance to requirements. It's satisfying the customer. So when you take a look at the Stacy model and you decide to do things as a predictive endeavor in the simple zone, or maybe as an agile endeavor in the complex zone, or the full-on anarchy or chaos zone, you got to know why you're doing what you're doing. You need to cope with risks, you need to cope with quality, and you need to experiment to get the best solution. So let's jump into what we've covered so far. So far, we've taken a look at integration, scope, schedule, and cost. Today is quality. Let's jump straight into it. In the world of Agile, quality is all about the same components. It doesn't change. You see, in order to navigate changes, Agile methods call for frequent quality and review steps all throughout the project rather than towards the end of the project. Let's take a look at how things happen in the adaptive aspect versus the predictive aspect. You know, predictive is all about this, plan quality management. But in the adaptive aspect, we first of all address the concept of value, a valuable product. What exactly are we aiming to achieve? What is the product vision? What is the product goal? And then we begin talking about a product roadmap, even before getting into the backlog. In the world of adaptive or agile, we have iterative reviews. Quality is built in right from the get-go through the backlog. If it's not quality, we won't do it. In the very beginning, we also think about acceptance criteria for user stories or requests. We define what ready means. We define what done means. And definition of ready is all about the state of the user stories before getting into our sprint proper. Before getting into the work of the sprint, we want our stories to meet that definition of ready. In other words, coming into the sprint, it would be prudent to get your stories to meet the INVEST acronym. You might recall the INVEST acronym. We've talked about it a few times. So we want our stories to be independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small enough to fit within a sprint, and testable. When we talk about definition of ready, that's a great baseline for you to use for the definition of ready. Now, the definition of done is a list of things that must be before we can say an increment is done. You see, there's a difference between talking about a story being ready to work on it versus an increment being done before we can consider it to be completed. This is an important distinction for you to make as you go through the world of Agile. So definition of done could refer to things like black box testing, unit testing, having all the documentation done, having a peer review of whatever has been created, but it pertains to the increment, not the story. Okay? Acceptance criteria is all about the story. Definition of done is all about the increment. That is an important distinction to make. All right. So moving on here, we've pretty much covered the adaptive mindset in Agile versus the predictive mindset in PMBOK, like Plan Quality Management. Those quality standards, they are etched in stone over here in Plan Quality Management. In the world of Agile, we identify those same quality standards, but we don't make this a one-time thing. It is ever changing and evolving. So recurring retrospectives, for example, will regularly check on the effectiveness of the quality processes. They look for the root cause of issues and then suggest trials of new approaches to improve quality. Now let's move into the manage quality process. Getting into manage quality here. In executing, this is all in the world of predictive. This is where we carry out quality audits. This is where we check to ensure we are on track as we carry out the work. But in the world of Agile, there are other ways we do this. We have the daily Scrum, and that is a way for us to build quality into the process, right? And then we have all of those other events. And I tell you, all the other events you do in the world of adaptive or Agile, they help you achieve things in a more proactive fashion. So you've got the sprint review, you've got the sprint retrospective, you got the daily Scrum. We could even say you got backlog refinement. All of these work together to help you effectively manage quality. That is, build quality in to the process while you are creating whatever you're creating. Remember, releases don't happen overnight. They happen over time. Okay? So in order to facilitate frequent incremental delivery, Agile methods focus on small batches of work, and they incorporate as many elements of project deliverables as possible. Let's go to our final one in monitoring and controlling in the predictive realm versus what happens in the Agile or adaptive realm. In Agile, before we can deem a product, service, or result as being completed and ready to go to the customer, it should meet the definition of done, which I've mentioned quite a few times. We also want to be aware of continuous integration. So it's not enough to create something and think it will work. You got to test it with the prior increments. So this is increment ABC plus whatever's coming after, D, E, F, and so on. It's important to realize that these small batch systems in Agile, in other words, delivering increment A, increment B, increment C, these small batch systems aim to uncover inconsistencies and quality issues earlier. So think about it. You have increment A and increment B, and you're able to catch something that wasn't aligning properly. You're able to repeat work, and in increment C, you could fix some things. You could address the concept of technical debt, which is another important term for you to keep in mind, right? And then increment D, we caught it. And increment E forward, we're sailing. And we just took a piece of knowledge about those inconsistencies. Maybe we carried out a spike, and now we understand what to do better, and we just do it better. So when we do these small batch systems in Agile, we're really looking at uncovering inconsistencies and quality issues early in the project lifecycle, getting feedback when the overall cost of change are lower. It's acting in our favor. So it's all about feedback, taking that feedback, putting it back into the cycle, and making sure that you lower the cost of fixing anything. All right, technical debt has to be uncovered. Defects will still be uncovered. One of the advantages, like I said, in the world of quality within Agile, we repeat until correct. We're going to keep on repeating until correct. And we're also going to be able to change as needed. So, my friends, there you have it. Quality management in the world of Agile. I hope it gave you some clarity. Don't forget, go on down to hpmexam.com. We got a half-day boot camp coming up. You'll learn so much more than if you struggle to study a lot of this stuff alone. All right, hpmexam.com. You take care. Bye for now.